We had another one of those days. The S&P 500 was down 3.6% in afternoon trading. The NASDAQ composite was 4.3% lower, but then it went up again. Woo, 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 woo. Always up and down and up and down and up and down. What caused the downturn today? Entropy. NASDAQ was actually at -7. It got to -7? Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, wow, no kidding. Previous close 17,124 and the lowest point was 16,000. Wow, that's pretty significant. Woo, 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 woo. Up, down. What's with the suit? I am a stockbroker. I think the Trump administration clarified the 125% tariff on China was cumulative with the existing 20% fentanyl tariff. Yes, the Trump administration clarified that actually it's a 145% tariff. 125 was simply not enough. It needs to be 145. That's the only way to save our economy. The drop for the S&P 500 reached 6.3% at one point. This is a insane amount of sustained volatility. Here's Trump bragging about insider trading.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made 900 million. That's not bad, because he's in financials.
They all do insider trading. That's not really news. The guys in the room are like, shut up. We finally drained the swamp, guys. Yeah, we defeated the elites. I honestly, genuinely, honest to God, do not think that Donald Trump is genuinely manufacturing constant insider trading pump and dump situations. I really do think that he's on like a kick and that the administration is probably pushing him to dial it back in a way that they can profit from. I don't think he's that in on it, even if he is complicit. Casually admitting to market manipulation, nothing to see here. You know what? Honestly, I think it's based and red-pilled of Trump to be so open about the graft, because all of them do it anyway. Like, they just lie about it. Nancy Pelosi's husband, you know, the portfolio she maintains through him, she insider trades. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been engaging in some very aggressive insider trading. Everyone, all of them, they all insider trade. How could you not? How could you not? They're all given this information beforehand. We're on like 6 consecutive days of 5 percentage point plus swings in the market. China is hoping to form a united front against Trump. See, Warner Brothers plummeted in value after China said they'll stop importing U.S. films. That's pretty funny. A spokesperson for the China Film Association said it is inevitable that Chinese audiences would find American films less palatable given the, quote, wrong move by the United States to wantonly implement tariffs on China. It's funny. The EU was talking with China over eliminating tariffs on Chinese EVs. Really? I'd like a source on this that isn't a tweet, if possible. Reuters source? Thank you. EU and China will look into setting minimum prices on electric vehicles. Why minimum prices? Why? Oh, we won't tariff you, okay? It's just, even if you could sell them for a profit over here for $9,000, you have to charge at minimum $22,000. Quit blowing our domestic manufacturing out the water. Well, it's better than tariffs, I guess. Can we stop winning yet? I'm tired of winning. Apparently, Asian stocks are up. Indexes rallied across Europe and Asia in their first chances to trade following Trump's pause. Japan's Nikkei 225 surged 9.1%, South Korea's 6.6%, and Germany's DAX 4.5%. Nice. That's a pretty big jump. People are parking their money outside the U.S. Yeah, that's like, it seems like the fate of America, at least in the short term, is to have all of its wealth hollowed out as foreign investors, and a lot of domestic ones as well, remove themselves from the market, and the stock market basically becomes like a non-stop day after day pump and dump scheme. Like literally every single day is going to be a high or low point on the we're so back it's so over sine wave, where like a select group of Trump insiders and Wall Street bets autists are going to be capitalizing as much as they can on the constant oscillations. Can't wait for the Wall Street crypto index. I mean, it basically already is that, isn't it? Like, what's the difference? Every time I bring up, like, the innate, like, irrationality, Wall Street, and how it's not fundamentally different from like a crypto coin or whatever. Some people argue, but it's like pretty much a objectively correct assessment. It's got nothing to do with anything, man. Just put the goddamn cabinet meeting in the bag. Yeah, exactly. Trump just has to announce a 90-day pause every day, and the economy will keep going up.
We had a big day yesterday. There'll always be transition difficulty, but we had in history, it was the biggest day in history, the markets.
Oh, yeah.
So we're very, very happy with the way the country's running. We're trying to get the world to treat us fairly. This is something that should have been done 25 years ago, and it wasn't. Should have been done 40 years ago, and it wasn't. But no president was willing to take it on, but you had to. It's not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. And as you know, without a lot of money being added, which is a lot of money that we could add, the country is making approximately $2 billion a day.
Uh-huh.
And
I keep
when you
hearing
think of it, we've never done that before. Never come close to it. And the number is probably $3.5 billion a day.
Oh.
And that makes us a very strong country. But we have Scott here and Howard and some of the people that are working on deals. And the biggest problem they have is they don't have enough time in the day. Everybody wants to come and make a deal. And we're working with a lot of different countries. And it's all going to work out very well. I think it's going to work out really very well. But we're in good shape. There's no inflation. There's very little inflation. And I went 4 years without inflation, and I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China and others, taxes in China. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars a year from China, and we had no inflation, essentially. Yeah. So we think we're in very good shape.
All right, how much of the opening of the cabinet meeting is this?
Again, there'll be a transition
Are we almost done?
And transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing. We're doing again what we should have done many years ago. We let it get out of control, and we allowed some countries to get very big and very rich at our expense, and can't let that happen. It's not a sustainable formula. So I wanted to just thank everybody at the table, and maybe I'll go around and ask some of you a little short couple of answers. Pete just got back from Panama, and he's been all over the place, and you want to give us a little report on that and whatever else you might have to say. Everyone at this table is doing an incredible job, by the way, I have to say. Incredible. And the relationships are, it's like they're friends. They're really, the relationships are very strong, really good, really strong. And these meetings are very good. And I think, I don't believe there's any other president that allowed the press to come into a meeting such as this.
Elon now anticipates savings of $150 billion from Doge. Isn't he out? What the fuck is he talking about? Also, look at how stupid he looks. Why is he wearing his hat like this? Why does he always look so stupid? You know, the person who wrote this article also thinks he's stupid because they chose this picture. He looks like a Ferris Bueller character. He looks like a joke.
These are very sacred meetings. These are very private meetings, but we have nothing to hide. And I think it's good. I think it's a good, we want to be, a word you like to use, Jeff, is transparent. So we want to be transparent, and we'll do that by starting with Pete. Go ahead, Pete.
Yes, Mr. President, we just got back from Panama last night.
Okay, look, we'll need to pace this out a little bit, man. We need to pace this out a little bit. Oh, okay. What order do we get to everything in? Okay, look, the basic gist of things right now is, and I'm sure some of you are like tired of hearing this or whatever. You're not going to get the satisfaction that you're looking for with a market crash. The problem is that the stock market responds to hype and expectation, not to reality. And right now, the stock market and the money that circulates through it is controlled largely by people who are in a cult, or people who think that they're like the smart guys who are in the cult, but they're like smarter than the other guys. Like they're just in it to get more than those other suckers who are in it, you know? Like the midwit phenomena, right? Where there are all those like hyper racist Republicans who think they're better than the average of the MAGA crowd when they're not. They're just really insecure about the fact that their positions are identical to like the stupidest people that are in their political coalition. Since the market responds to hype as opposed to say like reality, and a lot of these people are immune to reality, you're not going to see a single big tank and everyone's like, oh my god, it's true, tariffs are bad or whatever. What you're going to see, probably for a long time to come, is a constant whiplashing up and down and up and down and up and down. Some of it's going to be done deliberately with like insider trading, right? Like a deliberate effort to buy the dip, a constant scheme of pump and dumps. Some of it is just going to be incidental, like a consequence of Trump genuinely being quite stupid. The overall line is going to trend downward. So regardless of like the moment to moment rise and fall that people are celebrating, the overall trend is going to continue to be downward, at least for a while, at least on average. But you're going to have to deal with them taking credit for every bump up and ignoring every bump down over and over and over and over and over again. But over time, like the broader trend here is negative, and they are losing money. Maybe not some of the people who are winning big off of these speculative investments, but there are people who are going to be losing, like the American taxpayer, people with 401ks, right? The economy broadly, foreign investors, they're going to be pulling their money out. And there are things that could happen that could lead to a real market crash, like a real one, due to incompetent governance. For example, as has been suggested, if Trump succeeds in getting rid of Jeremy Powell and puts a guy in at the Fed who sets the interest rates to zero, that would be pretty bad. Jerry, that'd be pretty bad. U.S. defaulting on its debt, like this yo-yoing, is not going to help market stability. No, it's not. But these people don't want market stability. These people want to gamble. It's a big slot machine for them. I assume we all implode if the rates are set to zero. Well, if he replaces Powell and has a new guy put in there who does what Trump wants and sets the interest rate to zero, it would be essentially free to borrow money, which means that everyone would want to borrow money because they want to make money off the borrowed money and then return the loan that they took with no interest. And that's exactly the kind of environment that leads to, shenanigans. It also means the more existing assets you have, the more you can leverage them to borrow obscene amounts of money. It kind of gives you an advantage over the little guy. Yeah, the dollar's value is dropping relative to the euro. That is true. By quite a bit. We're down to $1 being worth 0.89 euros. Whereas just back 2 weeks ago, it was worth 0.93. That's a pretty big swing. That's a significant... That's like, what would you put that? That's like a 5% loss in the value of the dollar relative to the euro in 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 0.97 over here. Hey, does he call Jeremy Powell Jeremy as a bit? I mean, I thought it'd be fun to say because it's you can pronounce it like that if you want to. It's not pronounced that way, but I wanted to. I'll keep doing it now. Now it's in my head. I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't give a shit. He's the only guy we talk about with a last name Powell. I could call him John Powell, Jerry Powell, Jimmy Powell. That's a good name, huh? Jimmy Powell? Jerome Powell? That's pretty good. Yeah, he's got a main character name. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Joseph Powell? Just an entire ensemble of family members lined up like members of the Jotaro bloodline. They all have a US dollar sign birthmark on the back of their neck. I'd watch that anime. I'd read 1/2 of each volume of that manga and pretend I read the whole thing because I got bored around like 700 pages into the 4th fight. What was I talking about? About Jimmy Powell? Oh, that's right. Do they mention Powell here? No, not getting too alarmist in this article. We'll see. Powell being ousted would carry heavy economic consequences on its own. The majority of the money in the stock market is not held by crazy Trump cultists, but it is leveraged by people who want to take advantage of those crazy Trump cultists, right? That's how they make their money, you know? Not everyone's like Warren Buffett or whatever. Like a lot of people You know, they're trying to, yeah, they're not, these hoes ain't loyal. They're trying to follow the lines. And a lot of them are pretty good at it. Why should I care what happens to the stock market if I just want to watch it burn? You should, you should watch it with statements like that because they are cringe. The stock market collapsing has serious negative ramifications for a lot of people. You know, we're not engaging in juvenile pseudo-anarchist misanthropy here, okay? That's child's play, all right? This is principled apocalyptic accelerationism, all right? You have to understand where we're coming from, okay? We shed a tear for every 401k that gets hurt by this, all right? Thought the lack of a stock market would be good. Well, there's a difference between a lack of a stock market and a bad stock market. Why would I care if the Twin Towers fell? I wasn't in them. Some chatter, probably. That was me before I went to New York, man. I was like 9/11, wouldn't have been me. Then I crossed the Brooklyn Bridge and I was like, damn, that's a beautiful skyline. I'd be like super traumatized if I saw one of those buildings come down. Or 2 of them. Or 3 of them. But they'll arrest you if you talk about that one. My favorite skyscraper, the Pentagon. I was talking about Building 7. Can you explain what a 401k is for us non-Americans? Why is it related to the stock market? So, in America, we have we don't want old people to die on the street, kind of. So we had to come up with ways of making sure they're taken care of. Now, it would be super gay if there was just like a regular government program that gave them money. That would be like mega gay, basically, and also communism. So we came up with a bunch of other ways, you know? We've got like your brokerage leverage retirement accounts, of course. You've got pensions, which no one gets anymore. No one gets a goddamn pension because nobody holds a stable job anymore. So that's not a thing, right? You've got Social Security, which everyone pays into, you know, except for the wealthy, basically. But then you have 401ks, you know, it's like a employer subsidized retirement plan. And the cool thing about a 401k is that it gets invested in the stock market. And the reason this happens, the nominal reason is because it means that you get more money when you retire. Because you pay into it and your employer pays into it, and that money sits in an account and it appreciates in value, assuming the economy is doing well. But the real reason they put it in into the market is because they stabilize the market by doing so. Think about it. Imagine how unstable a stock market would be if every single guy running it was desperately trying to buy every dip. If every single money in there is trying to like follow every curve, you know, ride every wave, maximize every gain. It'd be insane all the time, constant swings. Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, cryptocurrency times 10. It would be insane all the time, you know? It'd be absolutely wild. So, a 401k, you know, you get millions and millions of them invested in the market. It does a little bit to stabilize the market because now you have money that's invested in a broader portfolio that is not touched at all. It keeps a baseline. It puts more money in the pool for the oligarchs to play around with. I hate living here, oh my god. Well, to be fair, we're not the only country that does that. So wait, the future of your life is dependent on capitalism working out well? Yeah, but that's the case for everyone. Like, everyone. Yeah, the VIX is such a bullshit indicator because it's supposed to measure volatility, but it goes down whenever the market does well. Like, why would it literally, like, the line going up in VIX is literally just the market's going down. That's it. That's the only thing that it measures. It doesn't measure volatility. The market spiking up is also volatility. Yeah, VIX is just stocks upside down, exactly. I mean, basically. Kind of just a fear metric. Yeah, but we already have that. The classic CNN Fear and Greed Index. Backup date. Only 9! It just went up! We just saw Americans get slightly less afraid. This really makes it all look more like a joke than ever. Yeah, I mean, it's like crypto trading. It's the same thing, basically. It's crypto trading, except if things go poorly, your grandma dies of starvation. Dude, everyone is putting right now. Holy shit. Oh my god. Look at that. They do be putting over here. I assume this is the... What happened right around here? What's a put? I'm not a stocks guy. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all the cool people who are watching and know more than me. Isn't a put option like A put option is when you pay for the ability but not the obligation to sell a stock at a given price at a given point in time in the near future. And a call is the opposite, a buy a stock at a certain price at a certain point in time in the future. So usually a put, like when the puts are up, people want to make money off of it. So they want to sell stocks at a price that is higher than what it is. It's basic. It's just another way of gambling. It's just another form of gambling. A put is like short selling, but better. Yeah, it's much less risky than short selling.